Let me tell you about Meter, the company rethinking network infrastructure from the ground up. Tired of juggling multiple vendors and fragmented tools? Meter delivers a complete networking stack, hardware, software, and services, all integrated to give network engineers the deep control and visibility you need. Thanks for Meter for making this possible. Go to meter.com/NAN to book a demo now. That's meter.com/NAN. Hello and welcome to the Network Automation Nerds podcast, where we explore the latest in network automation from a practitioner's perspective. I'm your host, Eric Chou, a network engineer who loves everything about network automation. Today, I am thrilled to welcome two exceptional guests to today's discussion on challenges and opportunities facing the next generation of engineers and university students. First, we have Eyob, who I recently have the pleasure of meeting at WA NUG, which we could talk about a little bit. Sam is currently a student at WGU and works as a network support associate at SpaceX Starlink. Joining Sam today is Damon Hoody, who is also a WGU student and junior network engineer working in Cleveland. Welcome to the show, gents.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to just finally bring the average age down on this show, right? Sometimes I feel like,
For sure.
oh my God, I'm introducing somebody with 20 plus years, 10 plus years. But hey, now we got some young bloods and we got some new perspective, and I'm excited to carry on today's conversation. But to start with, I think, just to let people know your context and background. So I'm interested in hearing your story about how did you come to network engineering, come to technology, that sort of stuff. So Sam, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I'd love to start. So how I got to network engineering was, I don't know, maybe a not common route.
Mm-hmm.
But so I graduated high school in 2021, and all I knew in my head was I don't want to go to college. I thought I was going to be a successful day trader and / photographer.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I did a year of that, and then I was like, okay, gap year is over. We got to figure something out. It wasn't making enough money.
Yeah, that GameStop stock didn't get you to millionaire status, I guess. Not.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. 2021. That was a fun year. That was a good year that was an interesting year. But so there was this job at a local ISP called Ziply Fiber, and there was a role for a fiber technician open, and I applied for it. I had a good referral, and I got the job. I was going to people's homes. I was installing their internet, running the fiber to wherever they wanted in their house, setting up their ONT, setting up their router, and then also doing troubleshooting. So like layer 1, layer 2 stuff, very entry level. But I learned a lot. And like those first 6 months, I was like, wow. Like something about me, I just love to learn. So anything I'm learning fresh and like challenging my mind, like I love. But soon after, it got stale. Like it was like the same thing, and it was just like physically demanding. And I'm like, man, I was just waking up and getting like tired to go to work. I was like, here it is, another day. So I wanted to do something that had to do less with my body and like more with my brain, and that gives you a higher earning potential as well. So spoke to the network engineers at my job. I was talking to them, hey, like how can I I'm gonna cut this short. This is kind of getting long, but
no, it's perfect.
Okay,
but go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. But I was like, okay, how can I transition to like a role like you? Like it's somewhere I could be behind the computer, use my brain more. And from there, they were telling me like, get your CCNA. Like you have a year of experience as a fiber technician. It's gonna help you a lot. And you can maybe get network analyst jobs, like something in that realm. And I was like, okay. So studied for my CCNA, and I ended up not getting my CCNA. I didn't pass that exam. I was going through a course that wasn't really geared for my learning style, and just trying to hammer it into my brain. It didn't work. But yeah, and then from there, went through an IT boot camp that was more hands-on, and like I could like visualize and like practice what I was learning. And I finished that, and I had an internship with them, and then I started a job hunt. I had an unpaid internship from them, but it helped me tremendously. And it helped me land my job like only like a couple months after at SpaceX Starlink as a network support associate. And Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm currently enrolled in WGU, their cloud and network engineering degree, and
Yep.
excited.
Yep. Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about WGU, but there were so many things to double click on that. What you talked about, your experience on, start with the entry level. You don't want to, I guess, not having something that's doing for 10 years, but really is 1 year on repeat 10 times. so,
Mm-hmm.
so I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a very good things that we should double click on later. But hold that thoughts. And Damon, what about you? How did you came into technology? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I like to color in sort of my childhood because I think my story makes the most sense when you start when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently just learned that Jeff Bezos was like very similar as a kid.
What do you mean?
So I was super inquisitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was around 7, 8 years old, we moved from Orlando to Cleveland.
Okay.
And so that was a big thing for, such a young kid. And we moved from like this big house to this small apartment, right? So downsizing, um, downsizing was hard. And
Mm-hmm.
we ended up with like this room in our apartment that was just stuff, right? Just things piled up. And I remember I was like 8, 9 years old, and I would just climb into this room and I climb over this like mountain of stuff. And I would just try to, search out anything I could make something with, right? So
Mm.
I would start developing these like gadgets and these trinkets. And my family didn't mind, but yeah, it kind of became like my first hobby
Mm-hmm.
outside of like video games and sports. So I I remember like I was like in 5th grade and we had like this science fair sort of thing, which I ended up not winning because I didn't want to do the paperwork. But we I took a microwave that we had from our old house in Florida, and I took like the motor out of it and I made
Mm-hmm.
this like hand crank um phone charger. And used all kinds of like YouTube videos, and it was amazing. I was ecstatic as a kid.
Amazing.
But that like sort of joy of building stuff definitely stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically how I got into network engineering, and I think this is going to be a trend which we can talk more about, is I actually started looking at the flashy stuff, right? I started looking at cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
and I started doing, I was like 14 years old and I was just playing around downloading Kali Linux, and then got into Capture the Flag, which
Right.
is originally how I started my blog. And that's sort of become more network engineering focused and hopefully soon more network automation focused. But I ended up realizing that I wasn't a breaker, I was a builder, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was not as good at hacking as I was at building stuff. And I didn't realize that until I joined the Cisco Networking Academy at my local chapter. So
Mm-hmm. So
still
is that
around.
so? I think that's very interesting because you talked about being naturally a tinkerer, and I think you're right. Like
Yeah,
Bezos was at his ranch over in Texas with his grandfather, and they all kind of built stuff and a lot of hands-on work. So do you think that kind of naturally drew you to networking, because networking is more hands-on, right? Like what Sam was talking about. He was a fiber tech, he was a field tech, he was doing truck rolls, as opposed to something that is completely virtualized and like maybe just dealing with code all day. Or is that true or no?
100%. I think, yeah, network engineering being that sort of like that one of the few, fields where you're like plumber, right? You're the internet plumber.
Right, right,
You're
right. That's very
you're,
sexy, by the
right.
way.
Let's make that
Great
like
description
physical.
on people aspire to come into the field.
Yeah.
Want to be a plumber?
Right. Yeah. But just having that like physical, like it's not abstracted out like most other tech fields. I think that was definitely more alluring to me. And it made me pay a lot more attention when I was in the Cisco Networking Academy.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I love tinkering.
So you're naturally a tinker. You kind of came into this because you want hands-on work, evident in your previous project experience. Having moved from maybe a major metropolitan area to a more quiet town and so on. So now you were with Cisco Academy and you were studying. So the next question I have for you guys is just because I want fresh perspective, and I have been out of kind of coming out of university realm for a while. I'm kind of wondering what kind of projects and roles are available. I assume because you guys are in the field right now, you've gone through this process of, hey, I am entry level. Everybody wants 3 years of experience, but nobody wants to give me 3 years to train me, right? That sort of dilemma. So I want to hear that perspective from you guys. Maybe we'll start with you, Sam. Like, what do you think? What kind of projects and roles are available to network engineers today, or young network engineers today?
Like fresh, no experience at all, or like
well, both. Maybe
Yeah.
just speak from your own experience, right? At one point, you had no experience, but
Yeah.
then you had some, field fiber tech experience with, some CCNA knowledge, right? I know you said maybe not the cert itself, but CCNA level knowledge. So, what kind of roles and projects are available right now?
So I'd say, so recently I was actually looking for network engineering internships for the next summer, and I found like I just type in tech internships into LinkedIn, and like 80% of them software engineering, software engineering, software engineering.
Right.
And when I put it in Seattle, like it was all like 500 plus applicants. It's just, I feel like Seattle is such a concentrated city. But what I had changed in that internship hunt for was I started like looking for network engineer internships like specifically, and then I'm taking my search just all of the United States, and I ended up finding way more roles, and with like, let's say it was posted 5 days ago with like 20 applicants, but you take that same role you put in Seattle, it's 200 applicants. So I was like, oh my, this is the gold mine. This is the gold rush. Like, you just have to expand your location for your job hunts. I'd say those. And then if you have no experience, let's say you have knowledge, right? Knowledge is amazing, but if you have no experience on your resume, and you're trying to get an internship, like, unfortunately you need experience before. So I'd say find someone who has a business near you. It could be someone in your family, one of your friends. It could be a school thing, like, and just say, hey, like, let me do some IT work for you. Let me do this, and that for you. Do it unpaid. And yeah, you say I had an IT internship. I was doing X, Y, and Z, and I think that really helps people, because it's this whole dilemma. It's, you need experience to get experience, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? So I say you got to be creative in moments like those.
Yeah, that's a great advice. And what any thoughts on that, Damon?
Yeah, I mean, coming from a different city, a much smaller city, I think smaller orgs, we have a lot of healthcare, manufacturing, financial institutions here, and I think a lot of smaller organizations are a lot more open to giving people hands-on opportunities. I'm at the library right now, and my Cisco instructor would always tell us, go to this library because they're always, looking for help, unpaid internships. They're always, looking for any sort of help. And I think just, sort of gritting your teeth and getting in, doing something related to it is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. I think it's a bit funny, and this shows my age, right? Like, it's funny that you guys say unpaid internship, because during my time, and the internship is always unpaid. So it's like, hey, I was lucky to be a paid internship out of all places, Kmart, right? Like that's like, for younger people out there, it's like Kmart, but it's like Walmart, but with a K, right? So yeah, so it's always unpaid, but you're right. I think that's a great tip for young engineers, is that if you want experience, there's always, like what Damon was saying, look for smaller organizations. Don't always go for the FANG and the shiny stuff, and look for volunteer work, maybe, as Sam was saying, on just some unpaid work, just so you could get experience under your belt. And I think the expectation is a little bit different when it's unpaid, right? Like, people are more tolerant if you try to learn more, if you're especially if you're hungry for knowledge and you're showing this aptitude for growth. So I think that's those are two great advices. So thank you for those information. And I want to touch on a topic that I know all three of us have a very strong opinion on, right? And I'll keep my opinion to myself because I want to hear what you guys have thought. This AI anxiety phenomenon, right? Like, because I think all you hear about right now are AI is going to replace this, AI is going to do that. And truth be told, nobody knows. Everybody's speculating, but that speculation is held by a lot of people. And as a result, a lot of companies are being holding back on maybe positions or training new people, thinking that AI is going to replace or like I could just buy my way out of it. And I don't have an answer, but I want to hear from you guys' perspective on that front. So maybe we start with you, Damon, on this AI anxiety phenomenon.
Yeah, I'm definitely sort of an AI optimist, right? I guess I would say like an AI accelerator, right?
Okay.
I personally think that maybe as soon as we get to the end of this sort of phase of the Gartner hype life cycle,
Yep.
it'll be a lot more productive for us. But personally, I mean, I just love accelerating my work with the AI, especially using like Claude and stuff. I think for now it definitely does give into that imposter syndrome for younger engineers. But I have the hope that we'll be even more empowered by AI instead of feeling replaced. Like I'm sure the CLI jockeys felt replaced when Puppet released and all these automation tools came out. So, I think I'm hoping it'll be a tool that'll just, accelerate our workflows instead of sort of draw us back and keep us anxious. I think my generation, especially, we sort of have all these anxieties like floating over our heads, right? Like we grew up, thinking that the environment was going to be completely, trashed by 2025 and, nobody's going to be able to have kids.
Who says it's not? But yeah. Anyways.
Right. Yeah.
Depends on who you're talking to.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I think the AI anxiety is just like any other anxiety that we sort of deal with as young people. And I'm hoping that the life cycle will sort of phase out.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. What about you, Sam? What do you think?
Yeah, so I have a similar take. I don't think AI is going to replace everyone, but I think it'll replace the people that don't know how to use it to like speed up their workflows, become more productive. And I don't know if this is just my experience. I'd love to hear your experience on this, Eric, but I feel like being in corporate, like in companies, like I feel like the execs, like the people that are at the top, like they're just like, what should we do? What should we do? And they just say random stuff, and then it just trickles down and it gets enforced. And like a lot of it's just like hogwash. Like we had this thing at my old company, and we would call it like flavor of the month. Like, okay, what statistic are they gonna like really hyper focus on like this month or like for this quarter, And it's just they're like, okay, do this, and then in a couple months they forget all about it and like don't care about it. So I feel like it gives off a little of that vibe as well. For me, like the biggest thing with I wouldn't say AI anxiety, but like my anxiety, like with like tech, is like shiny object syndrome, and I think that like gets inflated with how high the expectations are for entry level people. I'm like, okay, I'm a network engineer. I need to basically be a software engineer, a cybersecurity engineer, and a network engineer in one. And it makes me like, what should I focus on? What should I focus on? And then that ends up wasting more time than just pick one, go down it, and then like as you go down, maybe get some skills from here and here. But that's how I try to like solve that anxiety, and I have more of that anxiety than AI anxiety.
So you're kind of having this if I paraphrase that, it's kind of your skill anxiety, right? Like which skill do I focus on? And on top of that, it's AI this, AI that. Is that accurate for description or?
Yeah, I'd say that's true.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely on the skill anxiety, and I think something that AI does is it amplify everything So if you're already, anxious about something, it's going to amplify that. It's like a 10x that, right? Like if you're already thinking about skill gap and I'm just so new at everything, that's going to amplify that because AI accelerates the field in every single thing, right? On network automation or, traditional CLIs and all that. And if you are in a position where you're already very fluent. I know some people who are, Python coders or sits on PSF board or whatnot, or Django board. Then AI just amplified their strength, right? Like now, oh my god, now it's like I have an army of teams who's not tired and who's always doing the right thing, or 90% of the time, and that amplifies me. So I think you're correct in terms of, that there's a skill gap and there's an anxiety, and AI and for my take is that AI amplified that. So for me, I think it goes back down into finding your strength. Like if you're Sam, if you have this passion for learning, then use AI to amplify that passion and exemplify your drive, and that shows into your to your employer and so on. Yeah, so I think that's definitely true, and I don't have an answer for that. I would say one thing that you brought up is, shining object syndrome, and you're kind of being driven in multiple directions, and I think that's definitely true. But that's true in without AI, and even in my years of working in corporate, right? Like it's always like that. Then maybe at one point there was like the Six Sigma, and there at another time is just in time inventory, whatever it is. That there's always this thing that's out there, but it's more important for you to know yourself and kind of hunker down on my strength, and finding that strength should be always more important than learning the latest skill. So that's my take on that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Damon.
No, I think that's great. And I think it's important, like you were saying, to know yourself and know your strengths. For sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
That was a really good take. Thank you. I like
it.
No,
no, it was just me, thinking on the spot. So I don't know, feel free, like listeners, if you have your thoughts on that. I mean, this is really a eye-opening experience for me. It's just talking to young people on what they think about what's going on right now, right? Because I am definitely in the second half of the game, and you guys are still in Q1, right? Quarter one, right? The first quarter. So I think and I think most of my listeners are closer to my side than to you guys. So I think this episode is great in just kind of bringing in that gap. I would have to say, I wish when I was, kind of younger that I have this, and maybe I could be more sympathetic or more empathy on other engineers. But I grew up in, I guess sometimes you would classify as a toxic culture. That's like, oh my God, I don't want to ask questions because I don't want to appear dumb, right? Or like, I don't want to ask for help because I don't want to appear as weak. So
RTFM.
So I want to pierce all of that, and I want to tell people, and anyway, bridging the gap anywhere that I could. So I appreciate you guys all, just joining, and let me know, and just be honest about it, right? Like shining object syndrome. Yes, please tell me more.
Right? Yeah. That's,
yes.
And so, I think it's important. Sorry, real quick. I just want to like add to what you're saying. Like, and I think it's really important to like just share. If everyone could just share what's in their brain and like just put it on the web and like pour into the next generation or pour into their same generation, like we'd all like we'd grow rapidly. Like there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in asking questions. That's how you learn. So I love the podcast. I love what you're doing, and I love how you're bridging the gap between two different generations right now. So thank you.
Yeah. So I attempt, right? So I think I will stop talking about young and old and all that, right? So we're just all engineers, and we perhaps know more about one thing because we spend more time on it. It's just like Damon, right? Like you were tinkering with, say microwaves or any motors or whatever it is, and I would be a noob when it comes to that. So you would be the senior in that regard. So in this case, we may know more about BGP, OSPF, VLANs only because we spend more time on it and we bang our heads into the wall a little bit more. So in this case, we're just going to talk about engineering in general and maybe just like people who have spent more time doing things. And I also want to ask, and maybe that's in line with the AI question and the anxiety. What adds to the anxiety right now are all these tech layoffs, right? And I think it impacts everybody, but it impacts the younger or entry level positions even more because now you have people who are really senior looking for entry level jobs or things that they did not, they overqualify for things. So what do you guys think of that, right? I mean, I know we talked about maybe just doing more volunteer work, maybe just doing more unpaid internship, but you can't do that forever. So how did you guys make the transition? I know both of you went through that period of, looking for jobs and now you kind of came out on the other side. So any advice for people? Maybe we start with you, Damon.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge, but I mean, you can always see it as an opportunity as well. The companies cutting those traditional roles are often rebuilding with stuff like automation and efficiency, built in. So I think, knowing those things that, as network engineers, we don't want to know, right? Like scripting and, APIs and infrastructure as code. I think adding those to your skill set and being able to get into a role that, is sort of like two roles when you're doing automation, I think that can definitely help. I haven't experienced firsthand being laid off, right? So I might have a different experience to another person, but, I'm an optimist. So
cool. What about you, Sim? What do you think of this? Like, it's hard enough to find a entry level job, and now you have to compete with other, people with 5, 6, 10 years of experience. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so I'm definitely an optimist as well. However, I I don't like how the landscape is right now. I don't like how like it feels like excellence is the bar to like even get a role, an entry level role at that. Um, but what I would say, like advice to get that entry level role, like yeah, it's not fair. Yeah, it sucks. But you have to adapt. Like that's all human history, adapt or die. And I'd say like for me, what really helps me with my job hunt. So before I went through the IT boot camp I took, I went on like a little job hunt and like I applied to 100 places. I'm like, okay, I have experience as a fiber tech. I'm put down like studying for my network plus like in my resume. Like, yeah, like that's entry level stuff. I could probably get like some IT tech stuff, IT tech roles, whatever. I applied to 100 positions and I got one interview. And that interview was like a fake email scam interview. So I essentially got 0 interviews out of 100. And I'm like, damn, I need to upskill. Like I need to upskill. The market humbled me and okay, now I need to upskill. So then I went to that boot camp, and then it had an internship attached with it also, if you chose to do that option. And so I got like a educational thing, and and there was projects also in that boot camp. So I got a like a little education thing. I got experience like as an internship, and then I got projects, and that helped my job hunt a lot. And then that's only one part of the equation. You also have to like job hunting in itself is a full-time job. I was sourcing jobs. I had like my Notion job tracker spreadsheet. Like every single job I applied for, I I marked what job it was, when it was posted, how many people applied for it, just trying to find the correlations and like, okay, like if I added my cover letter to this, does this help my odds? And yeah, like I really treated it like a job. And I'd say the biggest thing is apply to places that like apply to jobs that were just posted. So I would do like past 24 hours, past week.
Okay.
Be an early applicant, right? Like we all know it's tough. We all know it's a lot of competition. So be an early applicant. Now what I started doing, I wasn't doing it back then too much, but tailor your resume. all these companies use ATS. They have their applicant tracking system. They're scanning for keywords before a person even looks at it. Just think of it like SEO for a job, So I would just the prompt I use Gemini, Google Gemini's LLM, and I just say, hey, here's this job description. Here's my resume. Tailor it for this. I get it tailored, and I apply to like specific roles like that with that type of resume, and that helps my odds a lot. And then interview prep. It's like a whole time. It's a full time.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That's a whole episode by itself. But yeah, go ahead.
Exactly.
The interview
right?
tips.
So I'd say for that, again, using AI. I used back then I was using ChatGPT, but whatever you use, just put in the job description, put in your resume, say, hey, I applied to this role. Based off of my resume, generate me star questions like 10, whatever. You could do 20, you could do 30, you could do, I say drill it into you. But so generate me star question and answers, and then just practice those, tweak them, right? Obviously it's not going to be perfect, but I gave that advice to my mom recently, she's a licensed practitioner nurse. Like she types like this, you know what I mean? Like does not have like tech background, tech experience. She's like, what's AI? How do I use it? You know what I mean? I helped her with that. There was an LPN 4 position at her job. So she's like LPN 2. And then she went through the interview cycle, and she told me like 95% of the questions that the AI gave her were like in her interview.
Mm.
Yeah, I was like, wow. See, mom, you gotta learn how to use AI.
She's the people. You're not gonna be replaced by AI, but you're gonna be replaced by the people who knows AI.
Exactly.
That's that saying, right? Back to what you were talking about. Yeah, something I heard was you guys are.
She got the job, by the way. She called me yesterday and she told me she got the job.
Oh, woo! Yeah, go mom!
Right?
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I think something that I heard from both of you is you guys both have a positive attitude. So you don't see AI as a threat, but rather learn to, kind of embrace it and use it to your advantage. And Sam, to you also, like you're very pragmatic, systematic about tracking. You want more data, you want that correlation. And then, use AI as an enhancer to kind of push through that last mile. So any other thoughts on that, Damon?
Hello, here's something that will resonate with network engineers everywhere. You know the frustration, managing networks across multiple sites with different vendors for switching, wireless, and security. When issues arise, you're jumping between multiple dashboards and vendor support team just to figure out what's wrong. It's inefficient, and frankly, there's a better way. Meter took a different approach. They designed their own hardware, write firmware, and build software stacks that gives you full control and visibility. Everything from ISP procurement to security and SD-WAN, all in one integrated stack. Here's what I love. They're not dumping down networking. They know you're problem solvers who want control. Their approach empowers you to be more productive with deeper network insights, whether you're managing branch offices or large campuses. Thanks to Meter for making this possible. Go to meter.com/NAN to book a demo now. That's METER.com/NAN. Now, back to the show.
I think Sam had a really good example. But yeah, I think being pragmatic with AI and something I've been doing recently with prompting is I've been asking ChatGPT how to prompt for Claude when I'm like writing code. And that has helped me so much. Like I was literally just doing something today with PowerShell, and I was like sort of trying to like think it through in my head, like, how exactly, like start with this and then do this, and then I want to include this, and then it makes so much more sense. I think I'm going to start doing this more, is to just ask, like a more general LLM, and then the more specific model that you're using to actually, do whatever function that you want. I think that's a really good way to think about doing AI and prompting in the future. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So what you're talking about, you're using well, by the way, when you were talking, it reminded me of that commercial where Amazon Alexa is talking to Google. It's just like, hey, Alexa, right. Hey, Google. And they're just having a conversation carry on by itself. So you're using ChatGPT to talk to Gemini was it Gemini, right?
Claude.
So yeah, Claude. So you're using both foundational models, but But that's a good point too. I think more and more are more specially tuned model. So like Notebook LLM, right, specific for education, it took out the bad words and tailored to our educators versus a foundational model like a GPT-5 or GPT-4 that are more general purpose. So now you're using both in the same realm. So I love that that approach, and I'm surprised at how deeply involved that you guys are using, GPT. So that's actually kind of eye opening, right? Like this is almost normal. Well, it's not almost. It is normal. It's a process. That's part of the workflow for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%. And I guess I should probably share this tidbit. I was just at Sam's Club getting groceries, and I was just looking for something, and I ended up going down this aisle, and I heard what sounded like the female ChatGPT voice, and I look, and it's this like little kid, like 7 years old, right? Like this little girl.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
she's like speaking to ChatGPT like sort of weirdly like a parent and a child, and like they were talking about just like groceries and what type of groceries to get, and I thought that was super like strange, right? To see, like, imagine trying to explain that to somebody like 5 years ago, that computers are raising kids. But yeah, like that was a real big eye opener. I think, yeah, our generation is definitely using AI a lot differently than the other generations. So
yeah.
Can I chime in?
Go ahead for it. Go for it.
So we're using it like, it might seem like it is really good how me and like Damon are using it, right? It's like helping us. Like it's a tool to help us. However, there is like a really like kind of like dark side to like using LLMs, especially for the younger generation. Like that might be like fine on like the surface level, but I've seen so many people like middle schoolers, high schoolers, college students just cheat their way through school using using AI, and that like okay, college it's bad in college, right? 'Cause that's gonna be your profession. Like if you're a doctor, like you might be killing some patients, right? Horrible. But like in high school and middle school as well, like that's really bad because it takes away your critical thinking skills, and we already lack that like in society. Like we see like a lot of people just don't critically think, but like to fully outsource your critical thinking skills, like, and just atrophy, that is scary to me, and like it's like dangerous. And then you just bring it to like even younger generations, like elementary school like kids. We saw how COVID affected everyone's social skills, especially like those like 2 to like 10-year-olds, 2 to like 15-year-olds. Like I notice it's so bad socially, like and like right out off of COVID, like it was really bad socially with the younger generation because they just weren't having face-to-face interactions with humans outside of like their home. Like and it with AI, I'm like, okay, are we gonna have that same effect, but like with thinking skills and like again social skills? Because so there's definitely dangers and like ethical use cases for AI.
Yeah, absolutely. But how do you stop that, right? Because it's like having how do you use AI to enhance, not to replace? I think that's the question. And for all three of us, I guess, when there's 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, we did not, well, maybe 5 years ago, I kind of lose track of time, but 5 years ago, we have to do this thinking ourselves, right? We had Google, sure, and I have to do search. I have to go on Stack Overflow to look at my code examples. But now that we have AI, so we went through that period of time where we develop our methods and critical thinking skills. Now that we have it in the maybe we're kind of robbing the younger generation of that practice because it's so prevalent now. Like Auntie Siri and Uncle Gemini is gonna do some thinking for you. So and it's readily available from their phone. They just have to take out of the pocket. So I'm just brainstorming here. How do we stop that, right? Like, how do we let the people establish critical thinking skills without, I don't know, sounding like old or whatever, right? We all know the importance.
Yeah. What do you think, Damon? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't think there is like one concrete answer, but yeah, that's definitely something to think about, and it's going to take a lot of thinkers, and it's going to take a lot of time to come to a solution. But I think it's best if we start thinking about this sort of stuff now rather than later.
Mm.
Yeah, at least be mindful of it. That's what you're saying. At least know that
Right.
exists, because yeah, it's going to take a while, but by the time we all come to a consensus and agreement, like it's going to pass that 5-year period, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, what do you think, Sam?
So definitely like what you just said, like the last thing you said was like the first thing I think is like we should do. It's not like a one answer solution, but I'd say having awareness of it, like having awareness of the dangers of it. Recently, like Sam Altman dropped the tweet talking about like the new ChatGPT update, and like at the very like last sentence it said like now we're enabling like erotica, like sexual like stuff like with LLMs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is society gonna look like? But so having awareness of the dangers of it, and then two is like just trying to be more involved like in our like children's lives. Like it's hard, like when both parents are working a full-time job for sure, but making sure like you're like really like focused and like invested in the development of your child, and like making sure, hey, like how was school today, like what did you learn, like, and like pouring into them, like teaching them outside of school, like, hey, like this is how you're gonna do this, how you're gonna do that, like figure this out, and you can't Google it, you can't ChatGPT it, and then we'll help you from there. And then three, like teachers being mindful of it, and like enforcing things like, hey, like, and really trying to teach. I think the overarching thing is teaching the skill, and yeah, teaching the skill of it. Because once you know the skill of something, then AI is an enhancement tool, right? To enhance like your skills in it, and you're getting the understanding of it. But if you skip understanding and you just get the output, like the work of the AI, then you left with nothing in your brain. Like you left with no skill addition, no understanding addition, and that's not going to help you later on in life, and it could hurt you, and it probably will.
Yeah, I like that. So maybe in the system message we pin it, right? Like we don't even write it. We freaking tattoo it into the system message. Say, don't just give me the answer. Help me think. And then so every single time you go, they will actually do a deep thinking mode on so there's actually, I don't know if you know, but like in like say Claude or GPT, there's actually a button that you could take and say deep thinking. So it goes into more layers and more depth, as opposed to just give you the answer, but it helps you think through the process. So at least that help a little bit. It's not going to replace everything, but at least it's going to, better than just giving you the answer, rather than give you the process as well. And it's up to you whether you want to follow that process or not.
100%. I often use AI as a tutor to like help me like understand something more. But that's the prerequisite to that is like already having like critical thinking skills, and that's, I don't know, that's what really scares me with the younger generation. Like we have to build critical thinking, and then you can use it in aid. But yeah, that's my piece.
Yeah, I think go ahead.
I was gonna say, using AI as a tutor definitely helped me, especially when I was doing my CCNA, and that sort of ties into what I was putting on what I was talking about earlier. I think you mentioned like what would you tell your younger self about navigating challenges? Yeah. And I put don't chase perfection, chase clarity, and ask questions. And I think AI is definitely enabling us to ask those questions on a lot less judgmental ears. So so yeah, I mean AI is definitely a big help in that regard.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's what I imagine having a 24/7 mentor would be, or as close to it right now today in today's world, right? Like someone who's always patient, someone who's always nice, encouraging you. Because I don't know if you noticed, right? Like, AI always say nice things. Be like, that's a great point, Eric. Or like, hey, Damon, good thing that you thought of that. And so you feel better about yourself. But yeah, and it's I don't know what the percentage is, but at least for GPT-4 level, it's good enough to pass the BARD exam, right? So then I could ask for some legal issues, and it's not going to replace my doctor, but it's going to probably replace that hot nurse line. Not hot nurse, but like hotline who answered by a nurse by my insurance provider. That's what I meant.
Who might also be hot. You never know.
You never know, but it's that line about AI enabling erotica right now. That kind of threw me off.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So I think that's a great point on AI being there for enhancement. And I know you both talked about mentorship, how important it was, before we hit the record and before, when we're doing the planning. So I want to talk a little bit about that mentorship. And now that we're on the subject of AI being a mentor, right? So Damon, I know you have, pretty strong opinion about having a mentor, so a physical mentor. So tell us about it.
Yeah, and I think as we were talking before, I was telling you that I consider Sam my co-mentor, right? And
yes. All hail to Sam,
right?
No, thank you. Likewise.
And yeah, and we mean that in the sense that we sort of like mentor each other on different things. It's sort of people call it also a reciprocal mentor. So it's sort of this reciprocal. And there's a term for in biology, I forget what it's called, but like when two animals are like mutually in a relationship together where one helps the other out.
A symbiotic?
Symbiotic, that's the word. But yeah, so he's definitely helped me out. I visited Sam in Seattle back in July, and
nice.
Yeah, I've sort of been a person that's sort of I'm an introvert. I've always kept to myself. I've always sort of, put my head down and, got the work done. And talking to Sam has definitely helped me branch out, work on my personal brand. I think you were talking about a bit earlier. Knowing myself and being able to communicate that to people. He's always sending me stuff. And most recently, he sent me, I think it was like a video or a couple of videos from Pack of Pushers about, just being able to talk to shareholders and important people without completely crap in the bed. So I think it's definitely important. And then I try to teach him a bit about technology, of course, whatever I'm working on at work, and we sort of he helps me with the people skills, and I try to help him out with the sort of more technical stuff.
Virtual high five to you, my friend. So yeah, Sam, why makes you do that, right? Like what's your reason for helping each other out?
So bro, Damon, have a lot of love for this guy. Like
there's a lot of bromance here, but it's all good. We're in the mutually admirable club.
Yeah, 100%. Like Damon, he's brilliant. And I'm a little bit older than Damon. I'm probably like a couple years older, and like I really see him as like a little brother, but like friend, like you said, co-mentor as well. Teaches me so much more about like deep technological like topics. I'm like, wow, fascinating. I love it. But what I want to just give, before I answer your question, I want to give a quick little short story about the time like when you were here in Seattle. So we went to a music festival together, right? And Damon, like I introduced him to like all my like two of my best friends. Like they came, and I was introducing him to them. And one of my best friends, his name is Chris, and he's just like, oh my gosh, such a social guy, like such a social, like out there type of guy. And I love that about Chris. And we do it together, right? But like me and Chris, like we're dancing, like having a good time. And like Damon is a really good dancer. Like I was seeing his dance moves before when it was just us. I'm like, he's a good dancer. And he wasn't dancing at this festival. And I'm like, I know what you're thinking. I know you're feeling self-conscious. I know you're like, da, da, da. I'm telling him like, dude, like, even if someone is judging you, who cares? Like you're from Ohio, bro. Like you're never gonna see this person again. Like why are you letting them hinder your?
But even if you're from Seattle, you should still dance, Damon.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Even if you're in Seattle.
Yeah.
But how much more of a logical fallacy is it if you're literally from a different state?
Right.
So yeah. And I'm like, you're just hindering yourself from having a good time. Like you paid money for the ticket, might as well have a good time. And then he started dancing, and we're all hyping him up, and it was just amazing. I could see like his confidence growing, and like his him wanting to talk to people more growing. And he's told me like after like months after, he's like told me like how impactful that trip was to him, how impactful me like pushing him outside of his comfort zone was. And I like to go back to your question, Eric, like why I like to socialize, why I think it's important, all this and all that. I've always come like, not always, but I've always kind of had the understanding, like I've always been envious of people that are like super social, that can make friends with anyone. Because when I was a child, I was the most like socially awkward, like introverted, like socially anxious. I say that's the best word to put it. I would think like, yo, I already have the friends I have. Like it's literally impossible for me to make a new friend unless they come up to me first, and I'll be friendly and nice, of course. But like, how do you even make new friends? I was like, it was like a foreign concept to me. And my older brother, he was really social. Like all the adults would love him. Like I'm telling you, it was so bad for me. Like I was scared of adults and I was scared of teenagers. I'm like, these people are scary, man. I don't know who they are. Like I don't.
You're running out of people to be scared of, man.
Exactly right. Exactly. And I was just tired of it, right? So I started building up my social skills. I'm like, let me go talk to people. Like so anytime I was doing DoorDash like 17 around that time. I'm like, let me just try to strike up a conversation or just say one small thing like, hey, how are you doing? Like, how's your day going? You see strangers, you're like, oh, I like your shoes. Just start with a little compliment. And like little over little, that makes you so much more confident and like comfortable talking to people that you don't know, like quote unquote strangers. And then through that, like I've been able to just like fully like be myself and fully like strike up conversation with anyone anywhere. Like if you remember, Eric, like I was the only one that like asked a question at the Wanug event. And I'm sure even people that are like older than me like would feel like on the spot. Like the number one fear I think for Americans is public speaking.
Yep.
And it is scary at first, but I think it's a big limiting factor for your life happiness, your need to connect with others, and also your career. So I wanted to eliminate that fear, and that's why like I love being social, and it makes me happy.
Yeah. So Roger that. Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. Right. Like, and I think there's a survey saying people, in general, like they would prefer to die than to public speak or something ridiculous, right? They fear public speaking more than they fear death. I think that's why they rank it higher. So not that they rather die for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I think that's you share some good tips about how to overcome the social anxiety and maybe become more of a mentorish, in certain aspect for others. But I think you guys also talked about, especially Damon, you talked about the mentorship scarcity, right? Like, do you feel in this remote working environment and, maybe just harder to be connecting to others, especially senior engineer, right? Like you're certainly in this, power imbalance to begin with, and it's harder to reach out. So what do you have any thoughts on that, Damon?
Yeah, for sure. I think honestly, as me and Sam sort of embody here, I think outside of your workplace, it's good to look for mentors and co-mentors. So I think a lot of people sort of look for somebody that has already walked in the shoes and they're ahead and they're trying to get you up to speed. I think a good mentor is going to be somebody that's going to walk with you where you're currently at to get you to where they're at, right? And I think you're not always going to get that within an organization, and sometimes you have to look outside.
Yeah. So Sam, I think you talked about how you overcome your maybe a little bit of social anxiety, but what do you think of what Damon just said on reaching out to others and finding mentors?
100%. It's super important. And if we talk about like in the workspace, not only looking at seniors, but your peers, like people that are, because I feel like a con with like having like a senior mentor I think you should have like hundreds of mentors, like you never one. But a con of having a senior mentor is sometimes they forget what it's like to be on step 0 or step 1, because they're on step 20, and it's only natural. And then also, even when they were on step 0 and step 1, the times were different. Like job hunting was different. Like what you said earlier, all internships were unpaid, and yeah, I don't know if this is fully true. This is my hypothesis, but I think the job market was like a lot easier back like 80s, 90s, early 2000s, probably up until 2008. But yeah, so having mentors of all ages, of all seniority levels, you could learn from anyone. I feel like I could learn from the homeless guy across the street. Like he has some type of experience that I don't have. So, or I mean, sometimes it's learning what not to do. And I wanted to add this one point. Mentor fatigue is like a real thing. So that's why I really like at my current role, right? I was asking this one guy, like, he was like my trainer. I'd ask him for like everything, but he still has like his workload like on his plate. And I could, like first he's like enthusiastic, like sharing with me, and I don't know, I'm kind of like sensitive like to people's energies. I'm like, oh, he seems like he's getting annoyed. I'm like, I need to go talk to other people. And I ended up like getting like a bunch of mentors. So now I can never overload with just one person. I can load balance, I can load balance my mentors. But yeah, I think that helps a lot. And like, how do you do that without being like a social person, or at least having the courage to try? So I feel like that's why social skills are so like valuable.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right about you could have multiple mentors, and for me, I just want to add also that you could have virtual mentors, right? Even Steve Jobs, who passed away, you could read his biography and kind of taking lessons from books and from all the other. Then you expand your field or potential candidates for learning from mentors a lot more, because then you include people who are past. So yeah, 100% on overcoming your own anxiety. Everybody's the same. Just because somebody spent more time on it doesn't make them any more special than you. You're on equal footing. However, you still stay humble, like both of you are, and go ask questions. And I do want to also wonder about this question that's been on my mind, especially I have 2 young kids, and one of them is reaching college age. Is that do you think the traditional 4-year engineering degree is becoming kind of obsolete? Because it seems like both of you are enrolled in WGU, and so that's that's a 4-year degree, but it's also non-traditional, right? And you also, both of you mentioned about how useful it was for boot camps and co-learning, co-mentorship. So I'm wondering about that question about a traditional 4-year degree, and feel free to jump in, either one of you, on just express your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think for me, because I sort of told you I work between higher ed and K-12. So I sort of get to see what the vocational school job market sort of looks like. Like we have so many resources in people that their entire job is just to get young people who are unskilled, get them skilled and get them into vocations. And I think I see tech as a very technical vocation, right? So I think the 4-year degree definitely is going to change. I think for more hard engineering and physics and mathematics, it makes a lot of sense to have a full 4-year degree. But I think for stuff like information technology, for stuff like, I don't know, maybe philosophy or English, I'm not sure that you need a degree that is a full 4 years that needs to be so spread out for this sort of thing. And I think my generation is sort of turning away from that 4-year degree sort of traditional route. And I think that's a trend that we're going to see more in the future for sure.
Yeah. Sam, you have anything to add to that?
Yes. I agree with that. I was like when I was like 17 or so, I was like a big college hater. I'm like, why would I go into like a 4-year program? I don't know what to do. I'm gonna incur debt. See you, Damon. He has to leave early.
But thanks, Damon.
I'd say So I had that mindset of like college. What's the point of it? And from there, I thought like, okay, what's the point if you don't even know exactly what you want to do, to dump like all this debt on you, and then now like you kind of like got these chains and like, okay, you got to get a job in your field, and then you could end up doing it for however many years to pay off your debt, to live, to whatever, and you hate your job, or sometimes like in this job market, like sometimes you don't even get a job like in your field. So I had that sort of mindset for it, but as I've grown older, I've like appreciated college more, because like it's crazy how many opportunities you have in college, like career fair after career fair. Eric coming to speak at Eyob, like so many connections you can make. It's such a huge like learning opportunity and experience. So I do think there's a lot of value in college. But I think you should always like you should kind of know what you're interested in before college. Maybe I really recommend gap years. I think gap years are great because you get to like touch different fields if you're doing it right, instead of just playing video games all day. You could touch different fields, see what you're interested in. And like it goes back to what you said at Wanug, like how are you gonna find your passion unless you like try different things? It's not just gonna pop into your head one day. Yeah, so but especially with what Damon was saying with network engineering, a lot of people, like when I talk to my CS friends that already have jobs like as a software engineer, a lot of them like think of network engineering like, oh, like that's the job you don't need a degree in. So it's like even like the software engineers are like thinking that, and like I've seen like in IT, like a lot of people don't have degrees. So there's always a way around, but of course a degree will like, it'll help you pivot when you want in your career, but know what you want and try to work towards that path little by little.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the point is to question the value, right? Like just don't take it as is, that you it's a very subjective thing, it's a very personal thing, so you determine whether that's worth for you for not or not. But the point is just don't take it as a necessary path, right? Like it's a maybe, and maybe you're qualified for in-state tuition, maybe your family's able to support you for Ivy League for you to just explore for 4 years. But or like you said, take a gap year and know where your passion is and try different things before you settle on the 4-year path or 2-year path even. So I think that's the key here for me, listening to what you and Damon said, is just to think twice about the value and what that value is to you, that personally, as opposed to just take it as is. And I know, so as you said, right, like Damon has to go, and so we'll leave this last question for just you. The mic, it belongs to you. And I want to ask you, what would you tell your younger self, of all the things that we talked about, right? Like knowing what you know now, and I know you're still young, but maybe just a couple years ago, but you've grown so much, it seems, right? Like in the last few years, what would you tell your younger self knowing what you know now?
Oh my gosh, I love that question.
Thank you. I came out with it myself. It wasn't ChatGPT.
It wasn't. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Well, ChatGPT may have stole that from me, but anyways.
Okay. It's hilarious. I'd say I want to tie it back into the last question as well. It'll hit a couple different points, but I want to tie it into that.
Sure.
I was gonna add with that last question what I want like parents to know, because you're a parent, like you're very invested into your child's future. And I want like young kids that are like thinking about college and like where to go and whatnot. I want them to like hear like just this personal story of mine, this little testimony. I found so me, gap year, worked a year as a fiber tech. So I'm like working in the work field. Like that gave me a work ethic. Like I've always kind of like had ideas, like been smart, but I've lacked like work ethic, throughout my life. Like procrastination has been a big thing. But that really taught me how to work. I'm carrying 28-foot ladders. And it makes you really rethink like, what do I want to do for the rest of my life,
Do you want to carry a 20-foot ladder for the rest of your life?
Exactly. So, I found out after that, when I go to boot camps, when I do internships, when I eventually enrolled back into school, like I just far outpace like my peers, like in work ethic, in like ideas, in like systems, in like it's helped me like not going to college like right when I graduated helped me so much. And I see like my peers that went like right after high school, a lot of them like just lack work ethic, lack like a vision, lack a plan, lack the ability to execute it, are abundant with distractions. Like there's a bunch of distractions in college, and if you're not like focused, then you can fall into like a lot of different paths. And now I find like when I go to career fairs, I went to UW Seattle's career fair and UW Bothel's career fair, looking for internships for the next summer. It's not the nicest wording, but it's like the competition is like very easy to beat. Like it's so easy to beat. And like through all the recruiters I spoke to, like I have good socials because I can communicate my ideas effectively. I know how to relate with people, and I ask about people. Like I'm curious about people. So by the end of it, when I tell the recruiter, "Hey, I'm studying like cloud and network engineering," like it's an IT field, and my current role is at SpaceX Starlink, and I'm doing network support, troubleshooting our Starlink network. They're just like, what the fudge, you know, like they hear a big name, they hear like, oh, you're already working, you already had this experience in corporate. They look at my resume. Like I always see them like put like, they draw something special like on there. That they weren't putting on the other resumes, and then they'll hit me up after and whatever and whatnot. So not going to college, like when I graduated, I think it really helped me. It really helped me. It really helped me view the world. Like, and I was around people that were, my coworkers were 40, 50, 60. And the people's homes I was going to like were, like 40, 50, 60 plus, like 80, 90 sometimes, you know? So I get to see like a wide range of life and like what people's decisions, how it shaped their outcomes. And it really like helps me like see, okay, what do I want for my life? But when you're in college, like you're just around people your own age, like you're in this bubble, you're in a big bubble. So I'd tell my younger self, keep it up. I'd really tell them like, keep it up. Like, I know you're going down a different path than everyone else. Like your external family is dogging on you. Your internal family is like dogging on you. Your community is dogging on you because you're doing a different thing. And it was really discouraging. Like it was very discouraging. I'm East African, I'm Eritrean, and like education is like
the thing.
You know, immigrant parents. Like thankfully my parents were quite supportive. Honestly, of my taking the gap and like me not going to college, and they're so proud and like happy like how everything turned out, and they were supportive. But yeah, like seeing like even peers like your own age that are in college like look down on you and whatnot, and then like a couple of years later you're in like a very high up like position per se. Like it's just like everyone has their own path. Just be diligent, be focused, and like ultimately like give it to God. And that's really helped direct me, path me, and it's gotten me to where I am now, and it's going to get me to where I'm going to be in the future. So, yeah.
I think that's a good point on just kind of circling everything back, right? Because you know you are more purposeful now that you know you've taken the path, you've taken a gap year, and then now you have more drives, more social skills, and everything else that propels you, that you could be more focused on what you need out of that college experience versus somebody who went straight in that just went there for the sake of because everybody else is doing it. So, and then that becomes your barometer for measuring what's that value to you. And then you could assess that, you know, tuition or time or your opportunity cost for those. So I think that's a great point on just taking a gap year if that's what's required. If you already know, go for it, right? But if you don't, go establish that work habit, and you'll extract so much more value out of it than just that year of not going to college. And I know Damon has to go, so we'll put all of his social links and connect with him on LinkedIn in the show notes. But for you, Sam, where can people find you if they want to get in touch or they want to offer you a internship for next summer?
Hey, I appreciate the plug.
There you go, man.
I'd say find me on LinkedIn. It's spelled SEMEYOB, pronounced Sam Eyob. Eric did it perfectly in the beginning. We had a little practice, no errors, no bumps. But yeah, hit me up through there. And always open and willing for a conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And obviously, he's from East Coast, so he's actually like really late, and he was in the library, so totally understood. But if you're listening, man, like thank you both, and thank you, Sam, thank you, Damon, for.
Let me plug his real quick?
Yeah, of course.
For it. But his name is, you can find him on LinkedIn, Damon Hoody, DAMON space HOODY. So Damon Hoody.
It's a dash actually.
a dash.
yeah. No, that's okay. We'll have those in the show notes. So no worries. But yeah, thanks for that plug. I'm sure that he appreciates it.
Of course, co-mentor stuff, bromance stuff, right there.
I'm happy that you guys are both comfortable about that. So, but yeah, no, definitely we're all here to support each other, right? And so nobody does it alone. So despite what some people might want to say. But so thanks again for being here, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one, Eric.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Network Automation Nerds. Do you have any feedbacks for Network Automation, our guest today, or this episode? Send us some follow-ups at packetpushers.net/follow-up. We want to hear from you. Check out our website at packetpushers.net to find other network engineering focused podcasts, blogs, YouTube videos, and so much more. And if you enjoy this episode and find it helpful, I really appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Your review helps other network engineers discover the show and keep us motivated to bring you more great contents like this one. We thank you, the wonderful listeners, for your support. Last but not least, remember that too much network automation will never be enough.